What is neuroplasticity and what is epigenetics?
Well, they used to say to us that our brains are hardwired and that for the most part they're unchangeable, that we're going to pretty much live a predetermined reality based on how our brain is wired. But with the advent of functional brain scans and some of the latest research that's being done, neuroplasticity tells us that we're changed by every new thought that we have, every new experience that we embrace, every new choice that we make, every new dream that we dream, every new fantasy that we create. Our brain literally changes to reflect a new level of mind. And so if you're not thinking differently, or if you're not acting differently, or choosing differently, or feeling differently, then the brain stays status quo. But we are marvels of adaptability and plasticity. And because of the latest research, it says that we can change at any point in our life. Now, epigenetics, the scientific model used to say that genes create disease. And we now know that less than 5% of the people on the planet are born with genetic conditions. The other 95% develop their genetic propensities from lifestyle and from choices and emotional states. So now we know that it's the environment, the external environment, that signals the gene that begins to change who we are. Now, epigenetics says that we could literally change our genetic expression from something outside of us. Now, the outside of the cell, which is the inside of the body, is still the external environment of the cell. So as we begin to embrace elevated emotions and we begin to live in a state of love or gratitude, in a state of worthiness, in a state of joy, that new information that's coming to the cell can cause the gene to literally vary in 2,000 different ways without changing the genetic sequence, which means then we're not doomed by our genes, and that some of the epigenetic changes that take place from new emotional states that either come from an experience in our environment or the emotion that we fabricate just by thought alone, by cultivating a new state of mind and body, literally can be passed on for generations. So now we're talking about the gene actually functioning in 2,000 different variations without ever changing the sequence. And think about how many potentials we actually have then.
I'm really glad I asked that question, because you're offering new hope to people that think they're stuck in situations that are unchangeable. You mentioned people that were actually cured of, you mentioned MS. That's something that people have, and they think that this is it. This is who I am, and I'm stuck with this, and there's no cure. There actually is a great deal of hope for people in any situation.
Well, we've had people in our workshops who had MS get up from a meditation, and the feeling that was lost in their leg or their foot completely returned when the meditation was over, because when they moved into an elevated state of emotion, they began to give thanks before the event actually happened, and their body, as their unconscious mind, began to believe that the future reality was happening to them, because the body doesn't know the difference between an experience or an event in your life that creates an emotion and an emotion that you fabricate by thought alone. To the body, it's the unconscious mind that believes it's in the experience. So they literally cultivated a new state of being and signaled new genes in new ways and changed who they were being in a matter of moments.
That's just amazing. I'm so glad that we had you on the show today.